Hello friends, Mystery here, and today let's do a breakdown. I'm going to show you everything that happened with the newest patch. I played a couple games with all the relevant classes and some of the new blessings, the new talents, like this one here, the Integrated Refraction Emitter Shield, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on them. And so what we're going to do is we're going to head over to the patch notes from yesterday, and let's go through the patch notes and talk about the changes that have occurred along the way, and I'll tell you how I feel. So first of all, balance changes to the Dreg and Scab Vanguards. This feels a lot better. We have the fact that you can push these guys twice to open up their shields now. That's a pretty hefty change to these. The previous problem was that they would group up on you, kind of like Bulwarks used to, right? They'd run up on you, they'd crowd your space, and you really had no way around them, because if you tried to swing at one, the other one would block, and it would kind of be annoying. You can also see there that the reduction in the radius, or sort of the angle the shield can block out, is very effective. 100 degrees, think about that, right? 100 degrees as opposed to 120. A 120 cone is like that much. 100 degrees is quite a bit less, right? That's only like a little bit more than 9 degrees, so they are mostly vulnerable, just not in that front little cone right there, which does feel different. I can feel the difference. The other thing is being able to push them twice and open them up to like potential damaging attacks is very big for most weapons. You just want to make certain you are following up with a good attack. And the thing I'll say about these guys is that, you know, the reduction in health plus the ability to just do this to them, because you can hit multiple at once with a shove like that, I just kind of feel like they don't really have a role. Yeah, they force you to shove. I wish they had something that they could do that made them feel different. And this might be crazy, but maybe they should have a short distance charge or something. I like the idea because they are Vanguards. They're supposed to stick to you. They're supposed to get in your face and make you deal with them. What if they had a little bit of a charge where they could engage and be right on you? Even if you're backpedaling, they're going to keep up with you really, really well. That might be something that they could look into because they're pretty easy to counter. It's just that right now, I don't know how these guys are all that different than the regular enemy with the health reduction and with the ability just to push them a quick couple times and get the kill on them. They just kind of feel weird. Obviously, the previous design of the Vanguard was bad. Just more HP on enemies sucks. You'll hear more of me complaining about that if you want to hear an hour-long Havoc rant that's coming probably later today or tomorrow. That will be a big criticism of that mode, and this enemy falls in that same trap where it's yeah, it's just a harder to kill regular enemy. Whoop-de-doo. Having them do something a little bit special that forces that reaction would be kind of cool. I don't know, just a thought. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm just asking for more pain. Anyway, Mechanicus Power Sword, as you saw on my hand here, we fixed the finesse and first target stat scaling. So previously on Darktide, this attack right here was really powerful and kills hard, but it only did 2,000 damage to a crusher. So you got to do one of these and then one of these, right? But now this attack is doing its full potential damage, so it is quite hefty. It's somewhere around 50% extra damage, and yeah, this weapon has been helped quite a lot by that finesse damage, because obviously being able to hit your first target and get extra finesse is a kind of a big deal for this weapon, right? Not having these additional scalings for 15% extra, and then this is 50% extra for those heavy attacks kind of suck, or the charged attacks rather, kind of sucks. Now about the new blessings, we'll talk about Decapitator in a second, but yeah, there's a couple new blessings here. I'll make a video probably dedicated on the Mechanicus Power Sword just to go through this. But Decapitator is a very much nerfed version of Decapitator. It went up in time, but way down in value. 16% finesse. Stacking 5 times, though, is still pretty damn good. And so obviously what you do in order to get this stacked up, it doesn't have to be one-shotting or single target damage. You would just go to the second attack here and just sweep a bunch of enemies and get it stacked up. And the best part about this is now it falls off 1 stack at a time. So even if you have a dry spell where, oh no, I just didn't get one-shots for a little while here, when it falls off, you'll only go on to 4. And this really helps with upkeep of this blessing. I played my sample game with this on Hivescum with the Combat Axe, because that was a build I did recently, but I already had Decapitator in, and it felt way better because, yeah, a lot of problems you'll run into is you get into a combat and you've accidentally gone too long. You let 8 seconds go by, and previously it was 8 seconds long, and the whole buff would fall off. Well, I guess we can talk about it now. This whole buff would fall off, and then you would start from 0. And that extra finesse damage, the extra crit and headshot damage really helped you to get those one-shots, so stacking it back up was a pain. And now you'll generally have a good bit going into combat. Even if it's not like over, like, you know, 120%, it's only 100%, it's still crazy good on combat axe. There is a bug, though, on Bonesaw. I want to highlight this right now. Hopefully Fat Shark catches this. So there's 3 bugs I want to, or 3 issues we're going to highlight today. Number 1 is this. On the Hive Scum, when you have the Bonesaw with Decapitator, as you can see there, the obvious attack to do the Bonesaw with, or, you know, to do heavy one attack, right? This, if it one-shots, right? If I do like, what if I do like a Rampage? Am I on Rampage? I'm not. Let's do a Rampage build. Here we go. And then, do we have a Rampage with Bonesaw? Yeah, this is, no, that's not it. Hold on. Guys, hold on. We're doing some stuff here. One of these, they're bones. There, probably this one called Bonesaw is ready. There we go. Okay, Rampage. So this, that didn't quite one shot. This should one shot, right? So you can see here that this enemy is not giving me the stack. It's not giving me the headshot damage stack, even though it looks like I'm hitting him and killing him one shot. It's not working. The reason why is because this is a rip animation. This is not considered one hit by the game. Even though I'm effectively killing him in just one hit, that follow-up damage is doing the quote-unquote kill. So these guys, because I'm killing them with the initial blow... Wait, I'm on the fucking wrong... God damn it. I'm on the wrong... There we go. Okay. Even though I'm killing them with the initial blow, like that, that kills them the initial blow. But now if I go over here, even if without the poison on... If I'm not killing on that first hit, if I'm killing with the rip, it doesn't give the blessing. So that kind of sucks. You have to kill with this first part. See, there you go. Didn't kill it, even though it was like next to instantaneous, right? So I think this definitely needs a pass with the Bonesaw. This weapon would be awesome with it, but it basically can't benefit from it because its strongest single target attack, the one you'd want to be getting those kills with, is counted as multiple attacks. Okay, that's the first issue we'll highlight there. Let's go back over here. We also had, so the Mechanicus Power Sword has extra strength, that's cool. It also had this Light 4 here. This is the one. So this is your, once you hit to Light 4 and Light 5, you can just get this sweep combo, which is pretty nice, right? And then you can turn these into empowered modes and really mulch through a horde. And that should hopefully address the issues that a lot of players were saying. They're like, oh yeah, this weapon's too hard to like do horde clear and stuff with it. Hopefully, right? And you can also skip straight to that combo, as you can see there, by doing a push stab and then just light attacking from there. So yeah, there's a couple ways to get to this combo really quickly and really efficiently, and then you can come right out of it and do a heavy attack from there. Okay, now what else we got? We got the feels, the differences. Oh, I forgot to change my mobility stat to get an extra dodge. But yeah, if I had 60% mobility on here, I would instead have 4 dodges. That could be kind of cool. The changes to how this weapon feels when you're warming it up and like moving with it, it's not that noticeable, but yeah, I mean, any changes to like this, because this is what feels bad, is like charging that. It makes you go so slow, but you do get a good bit of movement speed out of it, so it's whatever. That seems fine. Transonic blades are almost no different. The only thing I can demonstrate with the transonic blades here is the changing between the different modes. I have one of these here. Where is my transonic blade? So let's set this one up. Here we go. So yeah, when you have the different mode active, you see the little reticle in the center, turns into a circle, turns into a dot, turns into a circle. I wish they would add by default the colors of the blades like this. It looks pretty cool to me, but maybe that's for another day. Down here, we had the changes to the Mechanicus Power Sword and Arc Maul, their charges. Now, I can't demonstrate this because I'm using mods that overwrite my thing, so let me know in the comments how this looks in comparison. You know, my better charges for me is going to be the way to go, because I think it's a cool mod, thanks GDops. But yeah, having the charges show up a lot better is definitely a good change. Hopefully the default UI looks as good as mine does here. And yeah, oh, by the way, if you're a member, I will be updating the mod pack later today to get all these issues sorted out, because there was some stuff with that, as well as a few other mods. All right, we already talked about Decapitator. Overall thoughts on Decapitator: very, very good blessing now on these weapons. Bonesaw struggles with it because of the aforementioned issues, but Mechanicus Power Sword, probably one of the best blessings to have on this thing, even though it's only 16%, right? That stacking 5 times is 80%, and it really does love headshot critical damage. A headshot critical on that thing is like 3x, so that can be really, really big damage. And the combat axe definitely like the best blessing probably. All right, going down here, Machine Spirit Resurgent. We'll talk more about that when we talk about the Mechanicus Power Sword on its own. This really isn't all that impactful. Now let's talk about the Skitarii's blitzes, shall we? So this is quite a big change for the class. I quite enjoyed these different blitzes. So if we were doing a build, right, we could do an arc sort of build here. If we were doing like a, you know, arc maul, arc rifle, what you really want to do, let's start by talking about the arc grenades. What you'd really want to do is you would want to have enhanceable take arcs either on your range weapon or on your melee. Generally, the melee one on the arc maul is better because it gives 2 extra jumps, which increases the damage of this thing a lot. So let's showcase, you know, if we're up here and we were taking the arc grenades, you'd take a Blade of Wards for certain, or I mean, maybe not for certain. Maybe you'd take a Weakness Analysis Doctrine. It doesn't really matter. If you're not doing a Havoc, you don't need this. And then you take overcharged arc grenades. I don't think that enhanced arc grenades is really worth it. Disabling ranged enemies within 8 meters, that's a very small radius generally, and if they're within that radius, it's a good chance they're dead anyway. Now, this also generates a fuck ton of capacitance now, so we can demonstrate that, but check this out. So yeah, the arc grenade is going to arc off these enemies, and this gives us an extra 2 arcs, and it applies brittleness. So if we had, like for instance, we should load into a Havoc 40 here. Next time we're in a Havoc 40 meat grinder, so we can demonstrate like the full potential of how much damage this can do. So if we had, for instance, let's do some maulers, and we can do some crushers. There. Right, so this group of enemies here, we'd get it nearby. It does take a long time to detonate, but that is a good clip of damage. Now note that it kind of like didn't quite kill them, but I think that was just kind of unlucky. That's really, really good. That is a really, really good amount of damage. And if we get it like kind of just over here, look at the distances this can jump now, right? It can actually go quite a long way if it gets the arcs just right. And this, you're holding this maul helps. So look at that. I mean, it can go across the map and nuke stuff pretty effectively. One of my favorite uses that I found for this is on the summoning rituals. If you're playing, you know, if you're a Havoc head, if you have those summoners, where are they? Ritualist, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, cool, something like that. What I found is that if you like toss it off to the side, a lot of times it'll arc, it'll go through them, and it can kill like almost the entire circle. Like, look at that. It's nearly killing them. And if you had like, say, like unarmored or something on your weapon, it probably would kill them as a result. So yeah, pretty cool to be able to instant wipe out. Getting 3 of them, honestly, I think it's pretty good. And one thing I really want to note about arcs in general is they have said that the change to arcs, you know, all arcs got this buff here. The damage is delivered through a short duration debuff instead of direct instantaneous damage. This is actually a really, really big upgrade, because what's happening is, and you can see it in slow motion kind of, System Shock here, it applies on the first tick of this electrocution, and so does Retribution Conduit. When you have ability charges, right, so like right now I have 3 ability charges, all these enemies, they're gonna get hit by the electricity. The first tick of that electricity then primes them, so they're going to have more brittleness with every like subsequent stack, and then they're going to take extra damage from those extra charges, which adds up a lot. It does a lot more damage, especially if you're running a build, you know, that has, what do I got here? If you're running a build that has Redline, if you ran Redline and had this in there, that would actually do even more, because that's 35% extra damage when you have Redline full stacks, which would probably just obliterate most stuff, right? It adds up a lot of damage on them. And the really cool thing is that, like, because it is over time as well, that debuff applies to, if it doesn't kill them outright, that debuff lasts a long time. That extra brittleness on there, because previously it wasn't hitting multiple times, so you wouldn't stack it full. Now every enemy who doesn't die has 40% brittleness for 5 full seconds afterwards there. That's really good. So make certain you're taking these as well if you are using the arc grenades. And I probably would just take this sort of setup right here, but definitely a good grenade now. Is it competitive with the new Spirit Command? maybe-ish. Let's talk about the lion in the room, the elephant in the room, whatever that's called. Integrated refraction emitter. So, integrated refraction emitter is actually kind of useful now. Let me demonstrate like a potential use case. I played a game with it. I unfortunately didn't luck into getting a run where it was particularly all that necessary, but it can just kind of like waste a bunch of enemies' time and it can make you pretty annoying to them. So if you had a situation like you just happen to get unlucky, well, I mean, it'd be lucky for like, you know, your situation. But if you happen to get a map where, you know, those games where the game is like, everything is going to be a Reaper and it's just hell. Like if you're trying to run Cord Claw and every enemy is a Reaper, well, now you have the ability just to go, nope, I don't take any damage from you. And 12 seconds is a long time. It is a really, really, like, you don't realize how long 12 seconds is until you're doing this. The extra thing is that when you finish, you emit those arcs if you have the arc blessing there, which stuns, and it does an electrocution which stuns every 6 seconds. So it does it at the start, and then with this one in the middle, and then at the end. So I think that 8 seconds. I think that the increase to 12 is pretty dang good. Like that's a 50% increase in duration. This is a long duration ability, and it cools down while it's going on. This is where I want to pause and highlight the second big bug, which is that, well, not big bug, but there is no cooldown timer for this grenade. It's not even in the like files. There's no icon for it, so you have no idea when you're going to get this grenade back. It's currently cooling down. I tried to find a buff icon for it, but there isn't one. So yeah, it is cooling down. There's nothing like the veteran has that little cooldown timer that shows when his grenade is coming back. It needs that. It desperately needs that because you don't know, because it's working in the background. So yeah, that's one thing it definitely need to do there. But as far as the use case here, I think that this will have good use. It obviously is the best used on melee builds where you're trying to get in close to enemies, because this will cover for the weakness of those builds, which is that the Skitarii is kind of slow, and all gunners, a million bajillion gunners, can shut him down really hard. So there's been a ton of builds I've run where I have Cord Claw, I'm trying to get into melee and do some shenaniganery, and it's just like, nope, everything is a gunner that's going to shoot you at point blank. Now, if they're shooting me at point blank, I'm like, hell yeah, because that's the only type of damage that can't hurt me. I can still take hits from enemies, from melee enemies, but if you're melee configured, that's pretty good, honestly. Now we can talk about the Servo-Skull, the Flamer Servo-Skull, yay! Let's turn our AIs back on, and we'll pull out our Servo-Skull. I'm messing all my builds up to demonstrate this. It's fun. So, our Servo-Skull, I've got one here, there we go. Horribot. Cool. With all of the Servo-Skulls, the first thing you'll notice is that you can now do the sprint and hold down the animation thing. It doesn't cancel your animation, doesn't make you cancel your sprinting when you spam the wield key, so that's really nice, definitely good quality of life. The other thing that's really good here is that the Flame Skull, it now actually gets its damage done in a reasonable amount of time, because it does an extra couple stacks, or it does an extra stack per every turn. So previously, these guys were taking 8 seconds to die, this guy was taking 10, but look how fast. Like, look how fast those guys are starting to die. That's pretty dang good. You'll see it in more more detail, and look at the, that's a pretty hefty amount of damage, right? The ability to kill a Reaper, that's pretty good. This is Havoc 40 Reaper, right? So look at that. And then look over here, you can see that the stacks building up that much quicker is a big deal, right? Because these sort of enemies before, think about how long, right? It takes 2 seconds to do a revolution normally, and you would end up at 11 stacks like 10 seconds into the cast, right, for the other time. Now you're getting to 11 stacks very quickly. That makes a big difference in the immediate impact this thing has. Plus, of course, you get an extra 2 grenade charges to share between that and the Mechanicus, which is kind of cool. Like, if you have no intention to help your team at all, you're just like, fuck my team, I'm just gonna farm damage with Purgators, you can take this and get an extra 2 charges. Right, it's just an extra 2 grenades, which is not half bad. There's certain grenades in the game that are literally just like, they have a little add-on that says, you get an, like, there's a Hivescum talent point, get 1 extra grenade, right? This is get 2 extra grenades and get an optional Mechanicus Servo-Skull that can, save people. This is the same thing, right? It's, you get an option of a different way to use it, and you get 2 extra grenades. Now, if you're taking 1, kind of hard to argue like that, maybe you don't need those extra charges. 3 charges is still probably enough generally. But there's a good argument to be made that 2 more charges is pretty good, and the flexibility that it offers to use the other thing and get some bonus damage could be quite nice. So yeah, definitely a good change for that. I think grenades here are winning all around. I'm really liking the position it's at. Just get that change put in there so we can see what the cooldown is on our integrated refraction emitter, and otherwise feels pretty good. While I am thinking about it, because I have advanced combat doctrines in this build, I wanted to kind of talk about the last bug that I have not experienced again. I didn't see any notes in the patch notes about it, but I saw a ton of you guys asking because I've made a big deal about it in the past. Maybe something that they said addressed it, and I didn't quite understand that in the text as written. But this bug, where advanced combat doctrines drains multiple ability charges at the same time, I have not seen that occur. I've been testing, I've been letting it time out. This is usually what happens, is it'll drop a bunch of charges all at once. But so far, as I've been testing, it has just been draining one charge at a time as it's been going down. So if it was, it would jump right to red from here on my chargeometer, but I'm not seeing that happening. So that is potentially really good. Let's see if we can get it to happen with like infantry autogun or something. Let's charge ourselves back up. We activate this. And we'll just shoot our bullets out. Yeah, so we're just like red or yellow, and then just look at a yellow from here. Yeah, so I mean, this seems like it's working okay. I don't know. I haven't seen it drop any charges yet, so we expect an advanced combat doctrines build. Yeah, seems to be working okay. So I guess they fixed that. I didn't really see where they mentioned that was in the notes. All right, we have got a couple more things to talk about in here that I skipped on past. But we have some pretty cool changes. Oh, it was in the fixes up down here. We've got some pretty cool changes in general to our capacitance generation and to our what's it called? The system shock talent with shock maul. So both of these are huge W's for mystery heads out there. Number one, let's look at the shock maul really quickly. The shock maul is crazy now, because the shock maul previously, this thing was, it still has like skull crusher, etc., applying to it, but it wasn't applying this system shock, right? It wasn't actually counting these enemies as getting embrittled. But now, when you're hitting enemies, if you stagger them at all with the attack, they will get embrittled, which is a huge difference. It just allows you to do so much damage to these guys, because a lot of attacks do stagger. So we're just going to build extra like brittleness on every single hit, which is a huge deal. Before, you would have had to use the taser mode on a lot of these guys to get that on there. Now, yeah, the shock maul just applying 10% brittleness on like every hit to every enemy. Big deal. So big win for the shock maul there, and the biggest win overall is these two keystones right here, redline capacitors and power overload. So this used to, or rather it says in the description, using a getting a charge gives you 5% capacitance generation. That previously was only applying to your base capacitance generation of 2% per second, which mean you were getting an extra 0.5% per second, which is 30% per minute of your capacitance. Now it applies to all capacitance generation. So hypothetically, let's look at our talent tree here, right? We have 2% at a base for the class. We also generate 1% up here. We also generate 2% from weak spot kills, and we can generate an additional 5% for 4 seconds on a critical hit. So if we're thinking about like what this capacitance generation looks like, if we get a crit once every 4 seconds, on average, what's that going to mean? It means that we're getting, that's 5% per second. This is 1, and then the base is 8, so we have 8, and then this is 2 flat. So instead of getting 8% every second, you're going to get 10% every second if you are like just critting once every 4 seconds. Even without the critting thing, we're going from 3% every second to what would that be, 3.75. So that's, that's a pretty big deal. And then this 2% capacitance is going from 2 to 2.5, which is a big deal. And maybe one of the biggest winners of all is satiated steel here, which instead of generating just 25% bonus capacitance is now going to generate 37.5%. And remember that using cooldown reduction curios in your build like this, the combat ability regeneration curios, that lowers the threshold that it takes to get another charge. So it makes the battery like smaller before you get another charge. And what that means is, so like watch, I have to stack up my, wait. Oh, all right. I was like, what happened to my guy? My boy. So yeah, let me stack up my red line capacitors real quick. Use some charges here. I guess I can just do this. Okay, so there's red line capacitors stacked to 5. And so now look at the difference in generation. When I kill an enemy with this, look at this. Look how fast that generation is. So 5 seconds of generation brings us down to 13%, or rather, like 7 seconds left before a charge is back up. That is crazy, crazy fast regeneration. And that's on the back of all these other kills and stuff that you can be getting, because remember that also like getting direct kills is also considered that. And finally, I can demonstrate, hopefully here, that yeah, the burn damage for the guy is working. So see right there, for your Servo-Skull, I'm trying to get the fire damage to finish him off. So yeah, watch this flamer die. Normally that damage would not be counted because the flames weren't being counted, but you can see there that the burning damage from the skull is being counted, and therefore the Servo-Skull killed him, and it counted in the tracker, which is going to be great because previously it wasn't counting for any effects. It wasn't being counted for kills for capacitance generation. It wasn't being counted for kills for your tracker or any effects like that. So that was kind of stealing a lot of range elite kills. Now this guy is going to be super consistent at getting you those range elite resets, which is amazing for like talents like Galvanic Marking Array. It's just amazing for all talents really. So yeah, Noospheric is probably even better, even though you can't spam it at 0% capacitance anymore, but you really shouldn't have been doing that anyway. Everyone knew that was a bug. But yeah, I think that the capacitance generation, redline, or even power overload, like this is a massive buff for power overload because yeah, it's just 25% flat without doing anything, and you get 20% toughness damage and 15% damage. Power overload is very strong, and I'll have to run some numbers. I'll have to see, like, you know, if you think about it like this, right? You have to think about all of the capacitance you generate in the entire game multiplied by 1.25 minus the first 8 minutes or so it takes to get this thing stacked up, compared to 5% per elite or specialist kill. Because think about it, if you are getting an elite or specialist kill now, they give you 2% each, and that's going to multiply that up to 2.5%, and it multiplies basic enemies up to 1.25%. So literally all capacitance generation is going to get multiplied, which is huge. That is so huge in terms of generation. I think that these actually might have just leapfrogged over our flensing buddy down here, excepting if you're going some sort of crit melee build. I think that definitely for like Cord Claw, that generation is going to be immense. You're going to have so many Cord Claw strikes up. Anyway, I think that's everything I wanted to go over there today, guys. I can't think of anything else that was in here that I really kind of missed out on. But yeah, let me know in the comments if there's anything else you have questions about for the patch. Really good patch, definitely fixed up a lot of issues with our boy, and I'm very excited to see. Oh wait, there's one last thing I want to check out. Can we still do the bug on the Hive Scum? Quickly, don't show anybody, okay? So previously, right, you know, you could interrupt the animation reload on a class. So what you could do is this. Check this out. I'm gonna reload. Oops. I think I might have done it right. We'll find out. I think I might have done it a little bit late. Yep, there we go. So guys, it still works in the Hive Scum. They fixed it on the Skitarii, but they didn't fix it on the Hive Scum. So if you have an ability that allows you to reset your animation, save your animation state, you can just you know, activate your ability and cancel that out. So you can go to shoot your entire mag out with Hive Scum, reload, slot it in, be about to finish that reload, and then go into Desperado. Then when Desperado ends, during Desperado, you'll get a free reload, basically. They'll reload with like one animation, which is awesome. And then you can pop another one before Desperado ends. There you go. Cool. So it still works on Desperado. It should still work on Ogren as well. But you know, you get it. You go have fun, guys. All right, guys. Thanks very much for watching. That's it for this one. Mystery out of here. Bye-bye. Ah, you fucker. Yeah.